Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for part number 2 of daily number 529, where we learn to be a better gamer. It is the 529th one, isn't it? Pretty sure that's right. It is. Oh, my contact almost popped out of my eye. What a perfect way to segue into the topic at hand. In part 1, we established what I would call the normal look of Terran versus Zerg. Terran players being a little bit mild with their Hellions, perhaps a little spicy with them, maybe combined with Banshees, but for the most part, very mild aggression in order to get 3 bases and mass upgrades, all to devote to this 2-2 timing attack. We went through all of that so we could see examples of, first of all, how it looked. We can also get the opportunity to talk about things like mech, which follows the almost identical pressure curve to it, but transitioning into 2-2 mech instead of 2-2 Marines. And we also, most importantly of all, got the chance to see, what's actually going down in this Zerg powering phase. Upgrades are all popping on out, all the droning, all that sort of stuff. And now we're going to look at Polt style and see, the style of old is applying less pressure while the Zerg is powering, and we're going to see how Polt just tries to apply the most pressure right in this period. So with that in mind, allow me to begin doing some graphing. So Polt will start out in virtually the same way. He's going to just take his expansion, do all that good stuff. Yet what we're going to see Polt do is he is going to try to go for a much stronger push in this period of time. And in fact, I'm even going to remove this text briefly because, hell, this is a video, so you can rewind. Polt will try to do something that looks a lot more like this. Actually, I should say that it's going to come up quite high between 8 and 12 minutes, and then it's going to have a brief dip, and he again is going to go for some attacking here. It's going to kind of come down like this. So what I want to note is immediately some differences. Holy crap, look at this. What's going on here? A lot more early aggression. But this does hinder our late game. Some of the traits that you'll see out of Polt's play are, I'll list them out right here because I want you to be able to look at Polt's other games as well. He does early aggression plus Marauders, delayed medevacs, delayed upgrades. These 3 seem very counterintuitive to the way that common Terran versus Zerg works. I mean, especially these. Whoa. There we go. Especially these 2, points 1 and 2, are extremely counterintuitive to the normal flow of things. And a lot of times you'll hear people say things like, dude, you shouldn't attack Zerg. He's going to be strong late game. You got to power, you got to get those upgrades up. Dude, you can't do those attacks early on. Queens kill everything. It's way too easy for Zerg to hold on. And in a lot of ways, that's true. With a lot of attacks, that is an absolutely, undeniably true statement. Bomber has had a bunch of huge failings with these early pressures himself, which you have countless examples of at the last 6 months of tournament. However, at the IPL 5 tournament that happened just this last weekend, it was a fantastic tournament. Polt surprised a lot of people by steamrolling many amazing Zergs doing these similar sort of tactics. Absolutely within Polt's repertoire, he does have the triple command center mass upgrade style. In other words, certainly within Polt's style, he has this blue curve. But it's the green curve I want to talk about a lot. And I'll call this with blue. I'll do some labels here: Marauder, aggression, and over here is normal aggression. Again, in case any of you don't know color-coded graphs, or if you are green-blue colorblind, I'm trying to be sensitive to people who are red-green colorblind here. The text corresponds to the line of pressure. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of this, and we'll start to see some of these contrasts come to full light. Again, I don't want to... The last thing I want to say, I'm sorry, I have to emphasize again, there is nothing actually wrong with this curve. Terran Standard is a perfectly acceptable style. Bomber does almost exclusively this. But I'm just emphasizing that very few people lately do this. And I know this because I frickin' cast those Terrans. And it sometimes is painful. So, this game was played between TSL's Polt and Neosho's Freaky. This was the qualifier, the Korean regional qualifier for IPL 5. Let's go ahead and enable the sound. So notice that everything that Polt's doing is very normal. He's expanding. He's going to scout in a little bit. Nah, screw scouting. Builds one Marine, takes his command center. Freaky even snatches up a gas geyser, something that is generally considered to be the excellent response to Hellion Banshee. Goodness, he'll never think to take his refinery here in his expansion. LOL. Oh, LOL. Alright, cool. We have this nice bunker placement. Now, for any of you who have ever had this happen where your gas gets stolen, just do what Polt does and build the gas geyser down here. Gas geysers take 30 seconds to build. You can literally hover your mouse here, and when it says 70 seconds, build a refinery, and they'll finish at the same time. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that pretty nifty? Yeah. Alright, Polt is building himself a factory. This is where I'm going to pause. What did we see Bomber do? Bomber used this 400 to just build himself an extra command center. For comparison, and then he built 2 engineering bays for +1/+1. Just for comparison, I want you to note, an engineering bay is 125 minerals, +1 attack is 100 minerals. That is a total of 225 minerals. It is almost the same cost to build 2 additional barracks as it is to build 1 engineering bay and get an upgrade out of it. I want this to sort of float in your mind. Yeah, I know it's a little bit short, and someone could be like, well, the gas, if you think of it as minerals, blah, blah, blah. Apparently great happiness and screaming in my lounge. I still want you to note that those are about the same. So what we're going to see Polt do
upgrade complete.
Is Polt very kick-assedly builds 2 barracks right away. Now this is somewhat of what people would call the older school style of play. To build these 2 barracks, what would people normally do in ancient times and times of yore? They would get themselves an early stim, and then they would lift this factory to build a starport, so that way they could have medevacs with this push. I am actually going to come back to this graph and think about what that would look like. We're now going to do a graph in red of what it would look like if we went for this medevac aggression. We'd have a dip down. Why? Because we've halted Hellion production. And then we'd have a spike up like this, and then it would pop back down again. This is what medevac aggression looks like. Again, we lose aggression because we stopped Hellion. We gain it because we get the Hellions up at 10 minutes. And then it, of course, comes back down again because we don't really have a strong follow-up. Watch what Polt does, though. This is very interesting. Already building a single early engineering bay, getting +1. Now, I have delayed upgrade here as a characteristic. This is still true. Most people would get double engineering bay. He's getting a single engineering bay a little bit earlier, but he's actually not going to do much with it. And look at this, blindly building a Marauder. Huh, that's kind of funky. Another tech lab and a reactor. Still building some Hellions. Has 4 out on the map right now, your standard. And I will briefly go into the everyone camp so that way we can see that this Zerg player is doing the standard play. 4 queens. Oh, actually looks like 6 queens, I guess. That's fine. Queens for defense, early 3rd base, early double evolution chamber. No layer yet. This is all very, very typical stuff. So Polt's going to end up checking things out. He's getting his stim from this first thing. What'll be coming out of this one? I dare say, will it be combat shield? It will. Oh my god, it's almost as though I watched this game and I prepared for my daily. And Hellion production is not halting. Hellion production is not halting. That's what this part of the curve is right here. Hellion production is not halting. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the rest of this arc from the Terran perspective, and then we're going to come back and we're going to see how it's screwed with Zerg. So he's just continuing. Wow, is there a third command center anywhere? Absolutely not. Not in the frickin' slightest. Hellion numbers continue to increase. Everything's being churned out. But weirdly, seemingly paradoxically, an emphasis on the Marauder. This is where I want to briefly pause here. Bam. Why the Marauder? Why not the Marine? People argue that the Marine has, quote, higher DPS, blah, blah, blah. The fact is, what can he throw at us early on? Well, he can throw Queens, and how much damage do Queens do? Well, they do 4 damage, and they have 2 attacks, okay. Zerglings, which deal damage in small numbers, there's the 5 damage. Banelings, which are great, just in general, against all things, and Roaches. Notice how the Marauder answers all of that just by having this 1 armor. First of all, Marauders are excellent against Roaches because the bonus to armored, so we sort of account for that. The +1 armor automatically makes Queens really bad against Marauders. Quite bad, as a matter of fact. Especially given their beefy health. I mean, if they're doing 4 damage in 2 shots, I mean, it's basically down to 6 damage. 125 divided by 6 is a fucking lot. I don't want to math. I don't want to math. And especially against the Zerglings, this helps a lot. But the Banelings are probably one of the biggest reasons why. So look at TSL Polt. Look at this late frickin' starport. It won't even really be able to begin medevacs until well after 10 minutes. We're applying this pressure. We see these scans. And look at this excellent positioning, stimming, just eating it. Absolutely just getting devoured by these Banelings. Not a problem. We continue to push onward. More Marauders come in. It's difficult to defend against this composition. That is what is happening right here in this arc. Back at home, what do you know? Hellion still being made. Marauder, Marine, Marauder. Well, we're not getting a second engineering bay. We're actually delaying that upgrade. And we are getting, comparatively, a very late command center. So Freaky ends up losing an expansion that is generally considered by most Zergs to be quite defendable. I will note also, I'm going to come back to this 10-minute mark. Ordinarily, if we went for... I'll just remove that. If we went for medevac aggression, I just tried to Control-S to save the StarCraft 2 point the way you Control-S to save here. Against a player going medevac, you'd normally be up against 6 Hellions, more Marines, and 2 medevacs, but no Marauders. That would be ordinary. So you could actually reasonably hold off this attack with just that. But here, because Polt is just really slamming it in, really blasting him in the face, he gets the opportunity to kill this off. We're even going to go ahead and watch a second version of this coming up. I'm going to speed this game up a little bit so that way we can fit the other game into part number 2 as well. But look at how freaking late this upgrade is, this +1 armor compared to other things. Polt's going to pull back, and only a little while later does he actually do the swap. And he's not swapping onto the starport. I will have you know that this starport built his very own reactor. Oh my gosh, this starport, look at that. Look at this. This is like a high school student who does his own laundry. Like, that doesn't even exist in the modern world. This starport built its own reactor. So that way we could continue to build units. So that way this dip was slight. It wasn't a dip down like this. It was still quite a good bit of pressure. This little swap here.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
Upgrade complete.
Oh, there's Engineering Bay and Armory 2. What a throwback to times of yore. And suddenly we're even getting an earlier 4th command center. Sure, we come down here.
Is under attack.
We have some Mutalisks that pop in. Again, I'll note, you see this period from 12 to 16, see this dip in aggression? It might be a little bit more exaggerated than that. It might be maybe something a little bit more like this. But it's still not very deep. As we're going to see Polt Clears out his expansion, takes it, still kind of positioned forwardly, and he's not waiting for some sort of 2-2 timing attack. He can still apply pressure with this ridiculous amount of Hellions. Loses a lot of them, I would say, you know, kind of not... I wish it wasn't quite so stark, the amount of losses he sustained. But Polt is not doing this traditional wait till the 2-2 to begin your first attack. Certainly waiting to 2-2 at this point is fine. But then suddenly 2-2 finishes, and it's time to make ourselves another big old attack. Now I will note that there's some key differences already that we're seeing. I will pause right here. This is later than Bomber's attack, and yet we're up against a weaker Zerg because of the damage we did early on. I'm going to come back to the 6-minute mark so that way we can truly see from a Zerg perspective what this looks like, what this Marauder aggression has during this period of time. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So I'll be looking at the Zerg point of view. Now, the most notable thing is that Zerg upgrades won't be done. In fact, that's probably the biggest one. We generally will not be up against 1-1 lings, and you can watch a lot of Polt's games to see this. I mean, if we start this, that's 160 seconds. That's going to be almost 3 minutes. So that means we'll have it by 11, and even if we got this started a minute earlier, we wouldn't quite have them done when the attack comes. So let's go to the Freaky cam. So already Freaky is starting to go, yeesh, this guy's building a lot of Hellions. Interrupting the time that we would normally want to be saving up stuff to build this layer tech. We're already stopping at kind of an early drone count. So we're doing indirect damage as Terran. We're preventing him from building as many drones as he wants. And now we see, oh, there's this paradox. We built drones instead of building units. And look at this. The Spire, where is the Spire? The Spire actually ends up coming down at a pretty reasonable time. So here's the attack. This is not quite done yet. It is not quite done. And we're having suddenly to build all these units. Oh, the tragedy. The +1 for Terran finished a little bit earlier. So we're regrouping. We're going to see maybe can we do a counter push? Well, no, not really. In fact, counter pushes are damn near impossible because he's going Hellion, Marauder, Marine in large numbers. So, gosh, I guess I have to defend. And, I mean, maybe I want to make some Mutalisks here, but gosh, I've already spent gas on Roaches. Do also note, if we didn't build Roaches, if we relied just on Ling Baneling, we would have a much harder time dealing with this almost exclusively Hellion force. We've interrupted an upgrade for Zerg. We've interrupted his gas count. He's not really putting pressure on us with Mutalisks. His drone count is not yet at 70, which is what, I mean, Violet actually hit 75 long ago. So this is nifty. Upgrade's not even done. And this is actually the hilarious part. I'm actually going to ×8 it. We're going to once again take a look. Okay, we're going to take our 4. So far, so good. We're going to try to catch up on those Ling upgrades. Weirdly, once 2-2's done, we as Terran are going to be ahead of Zerg again. Why is that? Because his hive is so delayed. He's not going to be able to start 3-3 before us. In fact, very rarely can he start 3-3 before us. So in the unit station, we have 17 mutas, nothing else. Interestingly, the mineral hurt we did to him by killing this is also coming into play. No Zerglings. Macro hatch. I mean, the Zerg's macro's in kind of spotty shape. But, yeah. Freaky's not in good shape when this push is about to come. So cool. What I want to do now is I want to look at one more game where we're going to get the chance to see, whoa. Okay, did my encoder crash? The replay's a little old. It's on the patch before they did the interface update, so you still have to log out of Battle.net before you log in, and sometimes it causes a glitch. But I should be okay. Let me know if you can still see me. That would be fantastic. We're going to load up a second game where we get to see, well, what if my opponent doesn't try to power? What if my opponent doesn't just give us his free base, and let us walk in. As you know, I saw people in the chat noting, oh, he didn't build enough defenses for his expansion. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when our opponent doesn't build, or builds units instead of drones. Where is this game? By the way, to find these games, just look up IPL5 replays, and it should show up pretty high in Google. Where is this game? TSL Polt versus Freaky. Got him. Got him. Yes, I do wish to log out of BattleNet. And again, we're going to see the same little curve. Not quite as strong as Bomber's push when the 2-2 finally does occur, but we've done enough damage to Zerg that comparatively we are in a good position. And again, we're going to be really focusing hard on this period right here for Zerg. How does it mess him up? Because that is the Zerg powering zone. So here's Polt coming on down, getting himself that there expansion. Freaky's going to steal a gas, and Polt does not care. He will be building a gas down here when, just before it finishes, some excellent bunker placement. We'll be following it up with an excellent reactor placement, and why not continue the streak of excellence with an engineering bay? In other words, you're seeing the same damn build again. And don't worry, in part 3 we will look at a different build order. So, what are we seeing Freaky do? Oh, not take this early third. Notice how easy it is to kill an early third with exactly this build, because of these damn rocks. So Freaky's actually going to be going Zergling with, some roaches. Excellent. I'll note one last thing using these graphs. When do a lot of Terrans die early? Right here. To a Roach Baneling all-in. This is when most Terrans will die to that. We're at our peak aggression then, so that makes it kind of difficult. This is incidentally exactly what Freaky is going to do. Here's the Baneling nest. We see roaches getting produced. So cool. We still going +1. We're going for stim. We're going for combat shield. There's the infamous Polt Supply Depot wall-off micro. So Freaky ends up swinging on in with what? Let's see, 11 roaches, 24 lings, 12 banelings. Here are the banelings. Hellions still out in the map, being distractory. Watch this. Polt doesn't have stim. Remember when I told you Marauders were really great against banelings early on in small numbers? Dropping mules right in front of them, like, yeah, that's fine. I may as well drop the mules. I mean, there's no way you can target them anytime soon. And still with more Marauder Hellion. A late third command center by all standards. And Polt, yeah, he's going to go ahead and just get the medevacs out. And he'll be doing himself what I would just call a stuttered push. He's going to be doing this stuttered push. In other words, he normally pushes at +1 attack, but because he just defended an all-in, he waits for the next round of goodies. The next round of goodies being +1 armor and medevacs. And then just goes for it again. Now, note that, once again, this is where Zerg wants to be powering. He wants to be droning up, but because of the failure of that attack, he can't power. We see Stefano go all in like that, but then he gets the opportunity to power. Polt does not give Zergs that opportunity. Moving right on in. Same old looking push, right? Zerg was still making a lot of units, but just because he made a smidge, just an inch, bitch, too much, just a little bit too much, he ends up losing this expansion. And then it's a fairly straightforward cleanup for Polt, who is continuing to push, but most of the time will pull back after the death of this third. So what we've gotten the sense to see thus far is this curve in action. We've gotten in part 1 we saw this curve from Bomber against Violet, the Terran standard, but Polt is doing a lot of Marauder aggression early, and it's screwing with Zerg's ability to power. Not saying that this is better or worse, but this is an alternative. A lot of Terrans are literally not even trying to employ this. When we come back for part 3, we're going to see a wildly different build from Polt that still has the same underlying sensibilities. So we can see that I'm not just presenting one build, that I'm presenting a whole set of general ideas. So we'll do that in part 3, coming up in 3 minutes. Yes!